everyone, it's Rebecca from Chloe's Creative Cards, and today I'm going to show you how to make this card with a little bit of a twist. Okay, so we'll get started, and to start I've taken an 8x8 inch card blank. I've then cut a scalloped square from the scalloped and pierced 8x8 nesting dies, and I've cut that from lapis lazuli. So we're going to stick that one onto our card using some Collal all-purpose. So we're just going to stick this layer down flat, like so. Pop that onto there. Okay. Then I have taken a piece of white card and I've trimmed that just a little bit smaller than the scallop. I haven't used the pierced die for this one, but I've used it for the next layer. So I've used it for the patterned layer, and so I've just trimmed this white layer just a fraction bigger. Okay, and we're going to use this one and we're going to edge it in some glitter. So I'm just going to grab some scrap paper and just going to grab my chisel tip glue pen, and I'm just going to drag that towards me, turn it round, drag towards me, turn it and drag, turn it and drag. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in some Crystal Crush Sparklicious. I've just popped it in a tub, and I'm just going to dunk that in to coat all of those glued edges, like so. There we go, we've got that lovely glittery border all the way around. Okay, so we're then going to stick that one onto my card, and I'm going to pop some foam pads on the back of here. So I'll just pop some foam pads on the back, like so. And a couple more. Peel off all the backs of those. Put that into the bin. I'm just going to stick that into the centre like so. Okay, I'm then going to bring in the piece that I cut out with the pierced square, and I'm just going to stick that on using some Collal all-purpose glue again. So, okay, then I have cut the next pierced square from a piece of white card, and I've trimmed another piece of white card slightly bigger, again just to give us that little border. I'm going to take the pierced square, and I'm going to take our Decadent Dots embossing folder, and I'm going to place that inside. I'm going to bring in my Gemini plates. I'm using my 2 clear cutting plates. I'm just going to run that through my machine. Wait for it to go out the inside. Then I'm just going to remove that from the embossing folder. You can see we've got that lovely dotty pattern on there. Okay, so I'm going to bring in the square that I cut slightly bigger, and we're going to edge that one again using some Crystal Crush Sparklicious. So I'll just bring in my scrap paper again, and using my chisel tip glue pen, just going to drag that towards me, like so. And then we'll just dunk it in the Crystal Crush again. There we go. Okay. Okay, just bring in my cards. So I'm going to stick the dotty layer using some Collal all-purpose again. For the layer we've just glittered the edges on. Like so. I'm just going to stick those together. Like so. And then I'm going to flip that over and I'm going to pop some foam pads on the back. Just grab some more. Like so. Peel off the backs. And then I'm going to stick this one on a bit of an angle on the card. Just to create a little bit of extra texture. Okay, I've then cut the same size pierced die from a piece of pattern paper. And then again, I've just created that extra layer by just cutting a piece of Jupiter pearl card just a little bit bigger. Okay, so we'll stick those two together. So again, just using the all-purpose glue, sticking those together. And then I'm going to take some more foam pads and apply those to the back. Like so. And then I'm going to stick that on an angle again, but I'm going to twist it the other way. Like so. Okay, I've then taken a square of white card, a square of Jupiter pearl card, and then a scalloped white card layer as well. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp onto this layer. So I'm just going to flip that scrap paper over, and I'm going to take the footprints, the larger footprints from the Santa's boot set. So I've already got mine on an acrylic block, and I'm going to bring in the Morning Mist Versafine Clear ink pad. I'm just going to create my own little background, so I'm just going to dunk the stamping because it's quite a small stamp, it's quite easy to dunk in, and I'm just going to randomly stamp these over the piece like so, making sure that it comes off the edge so it looks like a natural kind of paper, as if it had been printed. Like so. And then you've just created your own background paper. Obviously you can keep going, you can add more, you can add less, whatever you would like to do. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick these onto the card. So I'm going to use Collal to stick the Jupiter layer to the white layer. And then I'm going to use some more Collal on the back and stick that onto the card. I'm kind of going to go straight with this one, as straight as you can get, with obviously all the wonky layers going on. Okay, and then I'm going to pop some foam pads on the back of this piece. Like so. Okay. I'll just peel the backs off there. And then stick that onto the card. Oh, try and get that in the centre. There we go. Okay, now to create the Santa's boots, I'm going to show you what I've done. So I've got a piece of white card, and I'm just going to grab my stamp and acrylic block. And we'll just put those. I've got my acrylic block, and I'm just going to pop on the Santa's boot stamp, and I'm going to pop on the accessories as well, and then we can just do it in one go. So I'll just pop all of those on, just make sure that I've got plenty of space. Like so, and a little Christmas tree as well. Just rearranging the stamp plate here. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to ink these up, and I'm going to use the Versafine Clair, the black one this time. So I used mine as the grey one last time, and I think this one's the onyx black. Okay, I'm going to stamp that into the centre. Making sure it's firm, even pressure all over. Obviously just take a little bit of time if you've put them all on one block like I have. I'm going to lift that off, and then I'm going to take some clear gloss wow powder. I'm just going to sprinkle that over the top. You can see it then goes a little bit of a dull black. Okay. Then we're going to heat that up. Waiting for that powder to melt and change. You can see how it goes to a really striking black colour when it's heated. Okay, then we're going to colour them in. So I've got a selection of pens here. We'll list all of the colours in the description below as well. So if you don't catch the colour that I've said, then they will be listed below. I'm going to colour the tree first. So I'm going to use G28 first. And all I'm going to do is just sort of flick outwards. Don't worry too much if it goes over the edge, because you're going to cut it out anyway. I'm just sort of going to flick from the centre outwards like so. Quite like a little bit going over the edge so you can see. Okay, then I'm going to use YG63, and basically I'm just going to flick over the top of that. Okay, I'm not worrying too much if it goes over the edge, because we are going to cut these out with the dies anyway. Like so. Okay, then we're going to colour in the candy cane. So I'm going to use R29 first, which is this one, Lipstick Red. And I'm just going to add a little flick of colour just to the edges. So I'm going to skip one, go on to the next one. Skip one, like so. Just applying a small amount towards the outer edge of that stripe. Okay, then I'm going to go in with R27, which is Cardium Red. I'm just going to kind of join those towards the middle. Not fully, if I can. Like so, and then I'm going to take R24, which is Prawn. And then I'm just going to blend those together. Now, I am going to glitter these, so don't worry too much about the colouring. You could just go in with one red pen and colour the sections like I have, would be fine, because we're going to glitter over the top, so you're not really going to see anyway. Okay, then I'm going to use, what am I going to colour next? I'll colour the present. So I'm going to use the reds again. I'm going to take R29, I'm going to colour all of these bigger sections. So again, just applying a little bit of colour, like so. Just to the outer kind of edges where there might be a little bit more shading really. And then we're going with R27 and just blend those further into the centre. And then R24 and blend it all together. So, okay, then I'm going to use this colour for the blue. So I'm going to use BV17. And this time I'm just kind of going to blend, I'm just going to colour the whole thing. So just where the bow and the ribbons are, I'm going to colour it all in this colour. And then I'm going to go over the top with B29. So it just gives it a little bit of a darker base, and then I can go over this with this colour to brighten it up a little bit. I just found it gave me the perfect shade that I wanted of a nice royal blue colour. Okay, now I'm just missing the colours from my Gingerbread Men, so I'll just grab those. Okay, so for my Gingerbread Men I'm going to use E35, sorry, not R35, E35. And again, I'm just going to go towards the outer edges, all the way around. Tend to do them in sections. So I tend to do like kind of his body first. And I'm going to blend it out with E33. Can add in E31 as well, but because it's such a small area, I tend to just use the two. So I'm going to use E35 again, just for all the little, his hands and his feet, and then E33 to blend that out. Then we'll go back in with E35 for his head. Again, just sort of around the outer edges, and then I'm going to blend with E33. There we go. And then I'm just going to use R27 just to colour in his little dicky bow and his buttons and his little stripes. So, okay, now we've just got the boot left to colour in. So I'm just going to grab my colours for the boot. I'm just going to quickly grab my black. Just grab the black, which was 100, and I'm just going to drag that again from that outer edge where there's some detailing. I just drag it in a little bit further, all under the cuff as well, like so. I have found over the years colouring it does take a little bit of practice, but as they say, practice makes perfect, so just keep going. Keep having a go, and you can't really go wrong. You can always cover it in glitter, which we're going to anyway, but I'm just going to show you how to shade it if you didn't want to glitter it. So again, just like so, just dragging that black out. Then I'm going to go in with C9, which is a dark grey. I'm just going to blend over those lines. I'm just kind of using circular motions just to blend that line out. I'm going back over the top, like so. I'm just going to add a little bit extra in there. And then I'm going to use C7 just to blend all that together. Like so. And then I tend to just leave it at that stage for now. And then I can come back to it if I kind of want to blend it out a little bit more. So I'm going to use C9 again for the sole of the boot, and I'm just going to again blend that from the edges, and I'm going to use C7 to blend that together. So, okay, and I've just got a little bit in here inside the buckle. I'll just do that. I've just used black, which was 100, and then I'm just using C9 to blend that out. Okay, then to colour the buckle, I am going to use E33, and again I'm just going to colour that all over the top. I see your black ink might still be a little bit wet, so just be careful. And then I'm going to use Y17 just to go over the top, and it just gives it a nice golden colour without being sort of too much in your face. And just be careful with that black ink on the edges because it's probably still a little bit wet. Okay, and that would be your coloured images. Now, obviously, for this card, you need to do it again. So you need 2 boots, 2 trees, 2 presents, 2 gingerbread men, and 2 candy canes. But I've already got mine prepped so that they were dry. So I'm just going to show you now how to cut them out. So I'm going to take my dies and I'm going to bring in some low tack tape. And I'm just going to tape these all down. Now it depends how you've spaced yours out. If you've stamped them all out in one go, as to whether you can get all the dies on at once, so you might have to run it through a second time with kind of the opposite dies that you couldn't fit on. But I'm hoping that we might be able to get them all on one go. Like so, just lining them all up and taping them down. Like so. Okay, I'm then going to bring in my Gemini Junior plates. I've got my clear cutting plate, my plastic shim. I'm going to put my dies facing up and then my cutting plate on the top and run that through my machine. Wait for that to pop out. Okay. Then we've got lovely images. Okay. Okay, so to glitter them up, I have used our new Santa's Workshop glitters. So I'm just going to bring in that scrap piece of paper again, which has got our footprints on, but that's fine. Okay, so to glitter the tree, all I've done is taken some of our Art Glitter Dries Clear Glue, and I've just kind of flicked across. So just applying little flicks across the tree like so. Doesn't look very pretty, but once you pop the glitter on, it'll look lovely. Okay, so now I've sprinkled across the Alpine Green Sparkalicious. Okay, and then for the present, I have glittered the little sort of ribbon parts. So again, just applying that Dries Clear Glue to those ribbon bits. Like so. And then, oh, I'll just do that little bit at the bottom. And then I've taken the blue ice glitter from the set and sprinkled that over. Like so. Okay. And then we will go to the boot. So for the boot, I'm going to use our black soot glitter. So I'm just going to, again, just cover that in PVA, like so. Sorry, I go really quiet when I'm concentrating. Try and go around the details just so that they show up a little bit once all the glue and glitter is dry. Okay, and I'm going to take our black soot glitter and sprinkle that over. Like so, and then we've got that lovely sparkly Santa's boot. Okay, then for the gingerbread men and the candy cane, I've already got all of these prepped, so I'm not going to show you that, but it's the same thing. All I did was infilled the red sections and covered it with the Santa's suit glitter. And on the gingerbread man, I just did his little stripes and his dicky bow and his buttons and covered that in the Santa's suit glitter as well. Okay, so I'm going to bring in the ones that I've already done that are all nice and dry now. And I can move these ones out of the way so that I don't put my fingers in them. Okay. So I've got my 2 trees, my 2 Santa's boots, 2 candy canes, 2 gifts and 2 gingerbread men. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some fur to these boots. So on the original we just glittered the tops, but I thought it would be nice to show you how to add the fur. So I've just got a roll of faux fur here. And I'm just going to cut a piece off, just kind of looking at the width of the boot, just going to cut a piece off. Okay, I'm just going to kind of pull it because there will be loose kind of hairs on it. So I'm just going to sort of pull those bits off. Measure it over the boot, and then I can see that this bit is a little bit too long. So it's when I turn into a hairdresser and just start snipping bits away, like so. I actually quite enjoy doing this. And then again, just pull off all those little excess bits that I've kind of cut away. And then you've got that lovely furry boot. Again, you can keep going, keep chopping, keep whatever you want to do, however you want it to look. You can spend a bit more time, that's fine. Like so. Okay. I'm just going to trim a little bit more off the edge there. And that would be good to go on my boot, like so. So I'm just going to cut another piece for the other boot. So again, I just sort of cut a chunk, I think roughly looks about right size. Take away the excess fur that's kind of unsealed from the binding. Trim off a little bit off the edge, and then just sort of chop into it. And pull it apart, like so. Okay, I'm just going to take a little bit of pinned flare glue gel. I'm just going to add a couple of blobs of that to the cuff, and then I can stick on that fur. Like so. Sticks that on nicely. Okay, so then we're going to bring our card back in. And then I'm going to get some foam pads. I'm going to start sticking this all down. So I'm going to add a couple of foam pads to the first boot. I'm going to stick this one here. And then I'm going to add a double layer of foam pads to this one. I'll just grab another foam pad. So. There we go. And then I'm just going to stick that one kind of a little bit further forward. There we go. And I'm going to bring in my pin flare glue gel again. I'm just going to start to arrange the accessories in the boots. I'm going to add a blob to the bottom and tuck that in. Blob to the bottom and tuck that in. Obviously you can arrange it however you would like. Like so. Do find the glue gel really good for this because it means you can kind of keep repositioning and moving it around however you would like it to look. Like so. Last one. There we go. Lovely. And then to finish the card, I have done a sentiment. So I have cut a scalloped and pierced circle. So I've cut a pierced one from Jupiter Pearl card, and I've got a scalloped circle from white card. And I'm going to take one of the North Pole postmarks. So I'll just grab that and my acrylic block. And I've taken the one that says Merry Christmas from Santa from the North Pole. So I'm going to stick that onto the block. I'm going to bring in that little scalloped circle and my black ink pad. I'll clean that up later. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp over that image and carefully position that into the centre. Like so. Okay, I'm going to move that ink pad before I cause any more mess. Okay, and I'm just going to move that out the way, and then I'm just going to I'm going to glue with a glue pen all around this circle. So I'm going to take my glue pen again, and all I'm going to do is I'm not just going to do the edge, I'm just going to kind of scribble in towards the centre. Doesn't need to look perfect because you're not going to see it, but just towards the centre, just covering it in a thick edging of glue, okay, like so. And then I'm just going to grab my red glitter. There we go. Just gone for a little walk, I think, the glitter. So I'm going to use my Santa suit glitter and just sprinkle that all the way around. And as you can see, it's not perfect in the centre, but it doesn't need to be, that is fine. I'll just move that, bring that card back in, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that on at the bottom using a foam pad. So I'll just grab a foam pad, stick that on. I'm going to add a foam pad to the centre, and then I'm going to stick my sentiment into the middle. And that would then be your finished card. So you can see how we did this one, and we used glitter for the top of the boots, and we used a chunkier black glitter. This one we've used our lovely new black soot glitter, and I've added a little bit of fur to the boots. Hope you enjoyed watching that today. As always, all the products will be listed in the description below, along with all the colours of the Copic markers that I have used today. Thanks for watching. Bye.